invited our good friend and sister in the movement, Shirley Trevino, to compart this about the legacy of Cesar Chavez. We know she's a little wordy, so this is 6 pages of Cesar Chavez legacy. Cut it down a little. But I just, in her honor and in honor of Gordo, I'll do my best. Thank you for inviting me to speak today about a man that surely stands as an icon in our community and that has left an incredible legacy in this country. We were so fortunate that he lived in our backyard on the east side of San Jose in an area known as Sal Si Puedes. He and Helen made their home on Scharf Avenue while he worked in the nearby apricot fields. You can travel the memorial walk in San Jose that represents 7 landmarks in Cesar's life or have since been dedicated to his memory. The walk starts at Plaza de Cesar Chavez, which was named after him in 1993 to recognize San Jose as the birthplace of his struggle for social justice. From the plaza, you're led to San Jose State to the Arch of Dignity, Equality, and Justice, which was designed by Judith Baca and is taught by the United Farm Workers emblem and pays tribute to Cesar and other leaders instrumental to the civil rights movement. Then you take Santa Clara Street all the way to the Mexican Heritage Plaza, which sits on the former site of one of the first great boycotts led by the United Farm Workers. It was originally a Safeway store. Many of you here today helped in that picketing. Then the walk takes you to Cesar Chavez Elementary School, the Mayfair Community Center, that is a gathering place for the Sal Si Puedes community, which neighborhood was historically home to migrant workers who toiled in the nearby orchards and fields. You then walk to Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, a church that was instrumental in the union movement during the 50s and 60s, supporting local migrant workers with basic services and helping to galvanize community organizing efforts. Your last stop is a former Chavez home on Scharf Avenue. These are the steps you can take to learn a little bit more about this incredible man. But who was Cesar Chavez? Cesar was a man that believed in education. He said, "The end of all education should surely be service to others. Real education should consist of drawing the goodness and the best of our own students." In the 1980s, Raza Gilroy asked Cesar to come to Gilroy and speak at our Chicano graduation celebration. He came to support our students and parents. He spoke to the students and praised them for their achievement, for following through on their plan to graduate, and he praised their parents for supporting their children to achieve this important milestone. He spoke softly and humbly, and he broke bread with us that day. The event was held at St. Mary's Church, yet the celebration would not just be an invitation to speak, but an invitation to controversy. The father received many calls and threats that he should not be allowed to speak. And we were told that Cesar could not speak there because it was not sponsored by an organization within the church. Luckily, the Guadalupana of St. Mary's came through and they said they would sponsor him. And Cesar spoke to us all that evening. We must ask ourselves 25 years later, after his death, if we have seized the opportunity to also help others. Cesar was a man that believed in the power of organizing. It was Father McDonald of Guadalupe Church in San Jose that told Fred Raza about Cesar. It's said that when Fred went to visit Cesar at his home on Scharf Avenue, he would peek through the curtains and tell Fred that he wasn't home. Fred planted himself in a chair in the front yard, and one day Cesar finally came out to talk to him, and that was the start of a wonderful association. He learned the power of organizing and the fruits that it can bring. Through the CSO, the Community Service Organization, he registered people to vote, went door to door to talk to people about what their needs were, what could be done to change things in the Sal Si Puedes neighborhood. He took that organizing spirit from San Jose to Delano and organized the first successful farm worker union in the nation. In the 1930s, due to labor unrest, the Great Depression, and the employers' abuse of workers, President Roosevelt established the National Labor Relations Act. Due to the strong lobbying of farmers, the act specifically excluded farm workers and domestic workers. Cesar knew the importance of collective bargaining. He knew that it was unions that can neutralize the power imbalance between workers and growers, thus empowering workers to stand up and speak out about injustices. Union contracts can mean fair wages, job security, enforcement of safety and decent sanitation standards, and a grievance procedure that grants them the ability to complain when their rights are violated. From the 1930s to the 1970s, farm workers could not enjoy these rights. Cesar knew that the only way farm workers could be protected was to organize them and to build a union. He said, they are trying to do something about it. They're not doing it by seeking charity. They're not begging at the welfare office. They are not, like many of their employers, lobbying the halls of Congress with their gold-plated tin cups, asking to be paid for not growing crops. They're trying to do it in the way that millions of other Americans have shown, and the road to social justice for the farm worker is the road of unionization. It was here in Gilroy and the outlying areas that Cesar and the UFW came to organize workers in the 1980s. He won elections at Christopher Ranch, Linleaf, Bertuccio Farms, and many others. In 1980, the United Farm Workers won the election at Gilroy's Robert J. Linleaf Farms by 50+% of the vote. Yet Linleaf refused to honor the election as valid. They filed appeals and lost. Paul Chavez then requested Linleaf to bargain, and Linleaf refused. Linleaf was found to have refused to bargain in good faith and was ordered to make whole the employees for their failure to bargain. Shirley calculated the wages workers would have earned had Linleaf bargained in good faith. It was thousands and thousands of dollars. When the check was delivered, Linleaf representatives said that they would come back for their money, as they thought most workers would be in Texas and could not be found. The 100 or so workers were from Texas, so Shirley put an announcement on Texas radio station, and slowly the word got out, and they were able to collect their money. 2 years later, Linleaf came to the ALRB in Salinas, asking for his money, right, what was left over, and Shirley was able to tell him that all but one check had been distributed. He didn't believe us and wanted copies of canceled checks to compare signatures. We complied, and we didn't hear from Linleaf again. The UFW had won a major victory, and workers were rewarded back pay. Their vote had counted. This might jeopardize our donors, but in 1980, the United Farm Workers also won the election at Christopher Ranch. Yet Christopher Ranch would challenge the election through the courts, and in 1984, the Court of Appeals sided with Christopher Ranch and its objections to the election. The workers would not be represented by the United Farm Workers. In 1977, the UFW won at Bertuccio Farms. Throughout California, in the 70s and 80s, the United Farm Workers would win most of their elections. Cesar was a listener, and the men in the room should take heed. He listened to his wife, Helen, at a crucial time for the union. In the 1960s, there was turmoil in the fields. At the time, the Filipino farm workers, along with other workers, had walked off the fields in a fight for better wages. The Filipino organizers asked Cesar to join them, and he went home to think about it. He talked to Helen and told her he didn't think they were ready to join such a massive effort. Then Helen asked him, "When will you ever be ready, Cesar?" He joined the strike, and in 1965, the UFW called for the boycott of grapes. He said, "Our cause, our strike against table grapes and our international boycott are all founded upon deep conviction that the form of collective self-help, which is unionization, holds far more hope for the farm worker than any other single approach, whether public or private. This conviction is what brings spirit, high hope, and optimism to everything we do." It was that boycott that finally brought the growers to the table. In 1975, farm workers in California were given the right to organize a union and vote for a union. It was in 1975 that Shirley joined the ALRB, the Agricultural Relations Board. Hundreds of elections were held, and thousands of farm workers voted to be represented by the UFW. In one election in the Imperial Valley, she opened up a ballot. And the UFW box had been marked with an X in blood. Growers still resisted the UFW in challenges to elections and in court, They tried to find ways to avert unionization. There was violence in the fields. There was death in the fields. Then the UFW began organizing a boycott against lettuce and strikes in lettuce fields throughout California. In Imperial County, UFW striker Rufino Contreras, 27 years old, was killed by an unknown assailant. Several other picketers were wounded by gunfire, and one was injured when struck by a pickup truck. All Rufino workers were asking was for just one share of what he produced, and the company answered him with bullets. Farm workers were threatened, retaliated against, harassed, and injured, yet they were resilient to continue the fight for what they believed in. The United Farm Workers filed the death of Contreras as an unfair labor practice, interference with workers' rights to organize for and join a union, and Shirley was assigned the case. She was threatened and her tires were slashed, but she forged on with the belief that this case was more important than anything that could happen to us. Cesar believed in getting others to participate in change and social justice issues. He didn't personally call every student, housewife, or worker to join the boycott. He indirectly challenged us to be better people, and we answered the call. He learned about justice through injustice. He said, "We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others, for their sakes and for our own." In the mid-60s, while in law school, Mo Jourdain interned at CRLA in Salinas and met Cesar. After graduating from law school, Mo returned to work at CRLA, and there he encountered Cesar again. He told him, "Your new job is to outlaw the short-handled hoe." The conversation was short. Mo wondered why this was so important. So he spent one day toiling in the fields of sugar beets using El Cortito as a stoop laborer. He quickly felt the pain caused by El Cortito, which left so many farm workers debilitated. It was then why he knew it was so important to outlaw the hoe, and in 1968 it was outlawed in California. This is the impact Cesar had on many because they believed in the vision and the mission. So much more can be said about Cesar, but I want to give you a more personal view than just where he was born and the struggles he led. I attended the inauguration of 40 Acres, thus United Farm Workers headquarters, as a historical monument, and heard Cesar's brother Richard tell a great story. He said that Cesar told him that the United Farm Workers should never be property owners and that he would deal harshly with anyone who did. Richard said he saw these 40 acres as a place where the United Farm Workers could make a home. So he bought the 40 acres for the United Farm Workers. And he said, "Thank God Cesar believed in nonviolence." I remember vividly, it was a Friday, April 23rd, 1993. I was on my way to run an election in Pescadero. Flour workers had organized themselves and wanted to join the United Farm Workers. We had the radio on, and it announced that Cesar had passed away in Yuma, Arizona. I pulled the state car over to the side, but I still had to set up voting booths for workers to vote, so I regained my composure. Workers took the ballots, and they cried as they voted. The United Farm Workers won the election. In 1994, Howland accepted the Medal of Freedom for Cesar from President Clinton. The president said of Cesar, "He faced formidable, often violent opposition with dignity and nonviolence, and he was victorious." Cesar Chavez left our world a better place than he found it, and his legacy inspires us still. The farm workers who labored in the field and yearned for respect and self-sufficiency pinned their hopes on this remarkable man who, with faith and discipline, often of spoken humility and amazing inner strength, led a very courageous life.
In the community category, Raimundo Armendariz is the presenter.
He supported CARAS here in Gilroy when we first started, willing to partner with us here to replicate the services that happen in East San Jose, which was one of our big issues, was to be able to extend what happens in the rest of the Bay Area here to Gilroy, because people often overlook that we are a part of the Bay Area as well. But before I go on, I don't have 12 pages like my sister. But I wanted to, if she could please come forward, Lori Ramos Chavez.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really honored to receive this award. I'm going to keep my comments short, but I want to really thank the Armendariz family, because it's the entire family that gets involved in this community, and that is rare. They get involved whether you want them to or not. But you're always glad they did, right? Hi, how are you? But I want to also also thank all of you for supporting this event, because that means you want to see change in the community, and the change you've seen, you appreciate it. So please continue to support these events. The reason I do what I do, and probably you too, is for family, my children, my grandchildren. I have all my 3 children back there at the table, my 3 of my 5 grandchildren. The youngest one right here, but again, I do what I do because of them. I want them to grow up in a better community. So again, thank you for your support.
In our next category is the business category, and the presenter is Mr. Fred Tovar.
Not only opening a business, but spending all the money you did to sort of change that place. And I see, every time I go there, I see sports organizations, local community organizations that are in there utilizing his facility. And again, you know, he did so much back to the community. So again, thank you. I have Maddie and Nacho here, both local business owners, and I wanted them to say a few words with their involvement with Raj.
I've known Raj for a little while now, and he really is the kind of person that you can just go to and ask for anything, and he's always there for you. I also appreciate all his support with the festival, and even, you know, Golden State Brewery. I mean, I think you have their beer there, and you just always jump in and help out, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, I want to say thank you, Raj, for all your support, and I met Raj like last year, and then he's been very supportive to my business too. Every time I have people in my studio, I always call Raj, you know, for pizza, and me and him partnership for paint parties, also Star Hot Pizza. So it's always a success, Star Hot Pizza with him, and then our friendship become more like a family. I see Raj as a brother too, so not just like as a friend, as a brother. I always call him brother. And thank you so much for doing all that and for helping me all the time.
So again, let's welcome Raj Nayar Tovar. Thank you, Raj.
Good morning, everyone. I want to say thank you to Fred, Art, and everyone in this room for supporting me, supporting my business. I'm here to help the community. Anybody needs anything, fundraiser, sponsorship, anything, come by. If I can help, I'm there for the community. So thank you to everyone. Special thanks to Fred for introducing me to a lot of people in town and getting me where I'm at. Thank you.
Congratulations. In the volunteer category, presenting Celia Armendariz. Where is she?
Hello, I'd like Dolores Vasquez to please come up front. Dolores. Yeah, Dolores Vasquez. Yeah, I'd like to introduce Dolores Vasquez here. She's a lifelong friend of mine. We went to school together. And, you know, she was my old crime partner at Gilroy High School. But Dolores is one of the volunteers that, you know, is in the shadows that nobody hears about, nobody knows, but is out there doing the work for our community. And that's why I wanted her honored. She also, you know, walked with Cesar Chavez, and she understood and will always remember what it is to be a farm worker, because she grew up in the fields of Gilroy, Bakerfield. Where else did you go?
Santa Maria.
Santa Maria.
And most of them were
Yeah, and just South County altogether, but she was a former farm worker. And so she marched with Cesar like her family did. And, you know, she's just a Gilroy person. And I wanted to really honor her and thank her. Like I said, she's out in the shadows, nobody knows about her, but she works endless hours at CARAS. You know, we're there till 8, 9 o'clock at night. We're always doing what we have to for our community. like to go to karaoke, but we took care of that. She has to go work for the community, right, Dolores? And anyway, I wanted to thank Dolores and honor her for Gilroy and for her dedication to make this world a better, safer, and healthier place for our gente in Gilroy, Gilas, Califas. Bye. Thank you.
Also, Dolores is going to say a few words here. But Dolores is like Sally at the office. They're part of the furniture. They're always there, all the time. I say, Dolores, you got to go home. And she just looks at me like, and then looks at Sally. But thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Recognizing the Tamal Festival sponsor, Mr. Art Barron will present that.
Thank you, Ernesto. We were on time, but it's okay, Fred. Anyway, this person is very special to me. He's part of our tribe. We call it Baron Segala. And my dad is the chief of the tribe over here at Osmo. So Mark grew up in West San Jose. He's been an attorney with Corsiglia, McMahon, and Allard LLP law firm for approximately 20 years, helping individuals who've been seriously injured and families whose loved ones have been tragically killed by wrongdoings of others. Mr. Segala is the past president of Santa Clara County Trial Lawyers Association. Currently sits on the Board of Governors. He's a member of La Raza Lawyers of Santa Clara County, Santa Clara County Bar Attorneys Association, San Francisco County Trial Lawyers, Consumer Attorneys of California, and was chosen by his peers as a super lawyer of Northern California. Having been raised in Santa Clara County, Mr. Segala is active in local communities. Amongst other, volunteers for CET Immigration and Citizenship Program and the Gilroy Immigration Forum. While president of SCCTLA, Mr. Segala spearheaded free legal workshops for veterans and free bicycle helmet giveaway and safety classes at Gardner Community Center, where he grew up in West San Jose. And also, Mr. Segala helps with the Christmas parties, Epiphany Project San Jose, an outreach program that feeds the hungry. Mr. Segala knows the value of bringing families and communities together, and on his own sponsored the Gardner BBRAC reunion, which was attended by more than 500 individuals. Knowing the difficulties that the underprivileged and Spanish-speaking communities face in obtaining assistance with legal matters, Mr. Segala takes pride in explaining the rights and obligations and helping them get in contact with affordable legal counsel. My brother, Mark Segala.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank CARAS for presenting me with this champion award today. I'm honored. I'd also like to congratulate the other recipients on this award. The stories I've heard here today are amazing. I mean, they're the rank and file volunteers that you see that are in the community helping everybody day to day. I'm also humbled to be up here today on this very special day where we celebrate the champion of champions, Cesar Chavez. As you know, and we've heard today, he unconditionally dedicated his entire life to getting good wages for the farm workers, improving their work conditions, and effectively helping the poor and underprivileged his entire life. I'm not sure if anybody's ever counted, but I'm sure he's given hundreds of thousands of his hours helping other people. So today, I encourage and in fact challenge those who haven't volunteered yet or not volunteering to do that. You know, just, I know we live in a busy society here in Santa Clara County, but just take a few hours out of your life, out of your busy day to help in the local communities, at your churches, with CARAS or any local community organization. And I know we think in our mind, where will I find the time to do it? But you can do it. Sí, sí puedes. Thank you.
Mr. Ron Gonzalez, would you like to come up and share a few words?
Good morning. Ernie, never give the microphone to a former mayor when you're trying to finish the program on time. One of the sheer joys I had being mayor of the 10th largest city in the country was the day that our entire city council approved my recommendation to make Monday Cesar Chavez's birthday as a city holiday, a paid city holiday. You can only imagine the number of letters I received after doing that. Not all of them favorable, but I was very honored to do that. Just quickly, Art had asked me to talk a little bit about the Hispanic Foundation of Silicon Valley. We get to have the opportunity to celebrate our 30th anniversary this year. I've been the president and CEO the last 10 years. We are very proud of carrying on what we believe is the tradition of Cesar in all of our education programs. We now serve close to 4,000 students and parents throughout Silicon Valley and also all the way up to San Mateo County. We serve middle school students all the way up to and through college. In fact, right now we're financially supporting 220 Latino students who are college juniors and seniors who have chosen a STEM major, science, technology, engineering, and math, because we want those students to graduate so that we can far more populate all these high-tech companies that talk about justice, at least in terms of their community relations, but don't show it in terms of their employment numbers. So we're really pushing hard on them to get more Latinas and more Latinos into those high-tech jobs to improve the quality of life for our entire region. And we're very pleased to tell you that of those 220 students, over 40 of them are Latinos. And getting Latinas who major in STEM is very, very hard.